Super Adventure is quite a unique episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. This is the 6th episode of the 4th season, and it starts off with scenes from a comic book, a Mickey Mouse comic book, specifically Goofy. And then we're in the clubhouse, and we learn that they're all playing at being superheroes, and one character is the villain. And the villain was not who I expected it to be. Or rather, we have the villain, but we also have a bad guy. We have the bad guy as one of the Sensational Six, but outside of the game, there's another villain, and that villain is Pete. And I'm really surprised with the direction they're taking with Pete in this 4th season, because up until this point, Pete had been maybe misguided, he didn't have the best attitude, but he was still seen as one of their friends, one of the gang. Maybe not the Sensational Six, but kind of slightly adjacent. But with this 4th season, Pete is coming across as a genuine villain. And that's how Pete was always seen in basically every Mickey Mouse program that came before this. So I don't find it too jarring, but compared to how they've treated the character until this point in Clubhouse, it's a little bit peculiar. But they're all wearing capes, they're dressed as superheroes. It's something that encouraged children to become, to play, have imaginative play. And it's one of the first times where I've watched this and have actually seen Mickey and the gang as children. Quite often they have adult jobs, and Mickey and friends are, they go on dates, they have jobs, they are adult characters. But in this, they are playing pretend, they're playing make-believe, they actually come across as the target audience, and I think that's beautiful. It can definitely encourage children to dress up as superheroes or bad guys and play games similar to this, but of course when Pete comes along and causes problems, they have to then try and solve it, and they have to become real superheroes. They also have real superpowers, and I won't explain what each of their superpowers are. I think part of the fun is, of course, trying to guess and trying to work out what it is, but I think it worked really well. It's a very well developed episode. It's an extended episode of about 45 minutes, and it manages to hold the narrative quite well across that time. I think on Disney Plus it's split into 2 parts, which I think makes more sense for young viewers with shorter attention spans. Me as a 30-year-old still have a short attention span, but it manages to sustain itself across those 2 parts. Visually it looks great, the costumes the characters are wearing look brilliant, it's action-packed enough without being too chaotic that young children wouldn't be able to keep up with what's going on. It's an all-round, solid quality episode, and it can encourage creative play. There are opportunities for problem solving. The characters are on top form. Still think it's a bit odd with how they're treating Pete, but generally I think it works really well. Super Adventure is definitely a strong episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.